Welcome to your next lesson on waves. Today, we're going to start our lesson about sound. If you need to go back to the lesson on waves, go back to your Google Drive and find the slide deck there. Just a reminder, we're going to have meetings on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. where I'll go over the slides with you and answer any questions that you have. I highly encourage you to come because this is the best place to get live information. But you can work through the slides at your own pace. The video you're watching will be linked here. Let's go ahead and get started on our lesson for sound. Let's go back over our learning targets. Through these lessons, you're going to learn that you can describe the properties of waves, you can discover that waves can cause objects to move, and you can demonstrate that patterns are used to transfer information. Some of these concepts will be reinforced in today's lesson, and some of them will be new. But by the end of today, you should be able to do all three of these learning targets. Properties of sound. How does sound travel? Have you ever thought about that? Can you give me some examples of how you know that sound travels? Go ahead and put your answers on that Polaroid. You can add a text box, choose a photo of you with something with sound, or add your own video. You'll be turning this part in later to your teachers. Here are your directions for this week's lesson. The first thing you're going to do is open these note takers. You can find them on slides 8 and 9. This week, we're going to focus on what the differences are between the waves and the patterns of low frequency and high frequency waves, in addition to high amplitude and low amplitude waves. There's also an area for you to fill out vocabulary words such as frequency and energy. And you can always add your own words for vocabulary that you're interested in learning or that keeps coming up during these lessons. Let's go back. Second, you are going to watch this BrainPop video. If it doesn't automatically have you logged in, go ahead and log yourself in and you'll be watching the video on sound. Next, you're going to go to Discovery Education and watch that video about sound. You might need to log in, and you'll log in with your regular email and password. It's a very short video, I believe about 5 minutes. Now, both of these videos for BrainPop and Discovery Ed both have quizzes at the end. I'd like you to take both of them, but you don't need to turn in any answers or tell us what your test results were or your quiz results. These are just for you to know how well did you understand the material. You can always go back and watch the videos again. Number 4, read this article from Newsela. This article is all about how sound travels through water. You'll log in again to Newsela with your email and password. There is a very fun activity here on the bottom, but it's completely optional. Make sure you have adult supervision or adult permission to do this activity, although I think it would be quite a fun activity. And finally, you need to read this slide. This is a different kind of slide than we've had before. This gives 3 separate examples about how waves interact with each other. Because not all waves act the same. You can have 2 waves that combine together to form an even bigger wave. And the example that we give here is a band. You have different kinds of instruments, and when they play together, they get louder and louder. Imagine a drums and multiple guitars. That makes a very loud sound. You can also have 2 different kinds of waves that can combine together to produce a different type of wave. Example are spotlights. Now, these waves are not sound waves. They are light waves, but they travel in the exact same way. If you have two spotlights on one person who's on stage, it makes a brighter light. If you have two different colors, those colors can combine to form a different color on that person with the spotlight. And finally, you can have two opposite types of waves that will cancel each other out. For example, if I'm here at home trying to do e-learning or e-teaching, and my children are trying to do e-learning, they might be wearing noise canceling headphones to cancel out the sound waves from my voice going into their ears so they can hear their teacher. I wonder what other examples you can come up with. The next thing you're going to do is make sure that you have filled out this note taker. This is going to require a little bit more detail. You need to make sure you understand the difference between high and low frequency, and I'd like you to draw some pictures. I'd also like to know that you know the difference between high amplitude and low amplitude. How would you describe these to someone? If you're not sure, go back and watch that Brain Pop video and the Discovery Education video. They're designed to help you out with this activity. Next, we need you to show what you have learned. I'd like you to draw a high amplitude sound wave. Can you give me an example of what makes a high amplitude sound wave? You can put that right on the line. Do you remember this drag activity from the last time we met with waves? I'd like you, once you draw your high amplitude sound wave, I'd like you to label its parts and use those arrows to make sure that things are clear. Just a reminder, add or draw a high amplitude sound wave in a couple of ways. You can draw one on a piece of paper that you have at home or inside Keynote with the drawing feature and take a photo of it and upload your photo here. If you don't want to draw one by hand on a piece of paper or using Keynote or another app, you can come up here to slides and use a curve. Again, because you need to show what you know, I need to make sure that your wave is accurate. So please make sure that you take the time to make your wave accurate. The one that you see here would not be considered a good wave because the distance here is not the same as the distance here. Please make sure you take the time to make your wave accurate. Once your wave is finished, don't forget that you need to come over here and grab your text boxes and move them to where they need to be. After you do a high amplitude sound wave, you're going to repeat this activity with a low amplitude sound wave. Again, you're going to draw your wave either on a piece of paper with a pencil or in Keynote and take a photo or a screenshot of that and insert that here. Then you can move your text boxes on top of it. Don't forget to give an example of something that makes a low and a high amplitude sound. Those Discovery Ed and Brain Pop videos are designed to help you. Next up, you need to show that you understand how waves interact. I've given you the definitions at the top here of how two waves can combine together to form a bigger wave. An example, this wave gets louder. I would like you to give an example here that is not the music example that I gave you earlier. For here, you are going to give an example of two waves that can combine together that form something different. You can put that here. I gave the example of two light waves. And finally, two opposite waves that cancel each other out. And I would like you to give me an example here. Now, we've been talking about sound waves, a little bit of light waves, and definitely other waves related to water. You can give me multiple examples, and you don't have to do it in words. You can make a video if you would like and insert your videos here in the Google slide deck. Do you have to do words for all three? No. Do you have to do videos for all three? No, you can do a combination of whatever you would like. Just no photos. They don't work as well for sound. I need to make sure that I can understand that you understand what you're learning. And here's where you'll stop for this lesson. There's a number of things that you need to make sure are completed before you turn this into your Google Classroom. You need to make sure that on slide 5, let's take a look at that you have an answer to how sound travels, or give an example here. The next thing you need to do is you need to make sure that slides 8 and 9 have your notes. That's where those vocabulary words were, in addition to the low and high amplitude and frequency information. Slide 10 and 11 should have the drawings that you made, in addition to moving the text boxes so you could label your parts. And slide 12 should have the 3 examples of how waves can be combined. Once you have finished all of those things, go ahead and upload your information or this slide deck into Google Classroom. If you have questions, please make sure you do the following. First, go back and re-watch this video. A lot of your questions are going to be answered here. Second, read through all of the slides. Make sure you've re-watched the video links and reread the newsletter article. If you still have questions, I highly encourage you to ask a friend. Still more questions? Make sure you're attending the live Q&A, where I will go over the lesson ahead of time and answer any other questions that you have. Once you've done all of those things, then please email me at mwodka@d181.org, and I'll be happy to help you out.